Persona 5 is a game I'm sure you're quite familiar with. I mean, why else would you click on this video? The game has a lot of different things going on. A great story, an interesting cast of characters you can befriend, fun minigames to distract you from the main plot, but there's one aspect of the game that really interests me: the demons, or personas for those of you who aren't into SMT. Each one is based off a real person or fictional being, a god or an urban legend, a rare artifact, or a gigantic set of cock and balls. Anyway, because these personas are so interesting, as well as the fact that the Persona and SMT games are growing in size, I figured it'd be fun to go over a brief description of these personas in Persona 5 Royal. In today's video, I'll be going over all the personas of the full Arcana. If a certain persona in this video catches your eye, links to the info I use will be in the description below. And now, with that all being said, Arsene is the first persona you awaken to in-game. Arsene, better known as Arsene Lupin, is a fictional thief created by Maurice Leblanc. To learn more about Arsene Lupin, I read the book Arsene Lupin, Gentleman Burglar, which is a collection of Arsene's first 9 stories. I won't be going over every story because I highly recommend you check out the book for yourself, but I'll be comparing this Arsene from the book to the Arsene in-game. In Chapter 4, A Mysterious Traveler, Arsene purposely allows himself to be bounded up by another criminal, in order to then be saved by the investigators whom he teams up with to track down and capture the thief. This particular story shows why Arsene was a fantastic choice for the starting persona role, given the themes of Persona 5. Arsene's design in Persona is that of this demonic-looking creature in a top hat and corset. This design is a perfect combination of old and new ideals of rebellion. One detail I specifically want to point out on Arsene is that its face is made up of flames. But in the first chapter, The Arrest of Arsene Lupin, it is stated that Arsene is a master of disguise. To quote the book, Arsene Lupin, the man of 1,000 disguises. In turn, a detective, bookmaker, Russian physician, Spanish bullfighter, commercial traveler, robust youth, or decrepit old man. One reason why I believe the Persona design team went with a face of flames on Arsene is because just like fire, Arsene can constantly change on a whim. Izanagi is one of my favorite personas of all time, and I know what you're thinking, but he's a Persona 4 persona. And while that's true, he also appears in Persona 5 Royal as DLC, so I'm talking about him. Izanagi is known in Japanese mythology as the creator deity. He is most well known for his creation of the 8 great islands of Japan, with the assistance of Izanami, his sister wife. Well, I guess it wouldn't be mythology without family members creating life together. Or, well, you know, creating life with a horse. Anyway, with the birth of the fire god Kagatsuchi, Izanami was burned to death and was sent to the land of Yomi. Now, with Izanagi all alone, he vowed to bring Izanami back from the dead. But upon his descent into the Yomi, Izanami asked him not to look at her, mainly because she was a rotting corpse. But he did anyway, causing Izanami to go into a rage, vowing to kill 1,000 people each day. To which Izanagi responds by stating he'll give life to 1,500 people each day. Now, there are other versions of Izanagi in the series, but I'll touch on them once their respective Arcana is mentioned. But for now, let's talk about the version of Izanagi new to Persona 5, Izanagi Picoro. Now, this applies to all Picoro versions of Personas, not just Izanagi, but the definition of Picoro is a rogue, pretty much meaning that Picoro or Picaro versions of Personas are just a more edgier version of them, to match the theme of the game. Now, 2 things I want to point out in the design of Izanagi is his spear, which is said to have helped him create the islands of Japan, as well as his dick pouch thingy. As the story goes, Izanagi said he would create 1,500 new people each day, so I mean, it makes sense that the guy wants to wear a cup to protect himself. Now, the story of Izanagi sounds a lot like our next persona, Orpheus. Just like Izanagi, Orpheus went to the underworld to rescue his dead wife, only this time he played a song on his lyre that moved Hades to tears. After this, a deal was made to bring back his wife. As long as Orpheus didn't look at her in the underworld, she could be brought back. But, just like Izanagi, Orpheus looked at her, and the last thing he saw was her disappearing forever. I should probably mention that when Orpheus died, he was ripped apart by the followers of Dionysus for rejecting all gods except Apollo. You know, his father and the same person that gave him his lyre. Anyway, his design and persona is, well, very 2000s to say the least. But he does have his lyre, albeit silver and not gold, but I'm quite fond of this design myself. Maybe one reason why the persona design is so robotic is because he was quite literally ripped apart in death. So maybe he was rebuilt to be less destructible, I guess. I don't know. But for his female form, my best guess is that because Katone summoned her, she appeared in a female form opposed to a male one to better suit the user. Anyway, now with the protagonist personas out of the way, we can focus on the rest of the full personas. I'll try my best to talk enough about each one of them, but most of the info I got can probably just be summed up in one sentence. But I'll try my best. Obarion is a Japanese yokai. It's specifically known as a piggyback demon, whatever the hell that means. Legend has it is that if you walk along a path alone, an Obarion will jump on your back and force you to carry them. Some stories say that the Obarion will continue to get heavier and heavier until the weight of the Obarion gets so heavy that the victim's back snaps. Other stories say that if you manage to carry an Obarion all the way to your house, it will transform into a pile of gold coins. Obarion's SMT design is of this orange little goblin guy, with weird little grippers on his fingers and palm. All the better to piggyback with, I guess. Now, I'm sure you know what a pixie is, but if you don't, a pixie is a small mischievous creature from English folklore. Typically, these pixies love playing pranks on humans, but we're not here to talk about regular old pixie, we're here to talk about high pixie. Now, what separates high pixies from normal pixies is that high pixies are typically considered to be warriors or protectors of their clans. To show this off in SMT, High Pixie is depicted with a more intimidating hairstyle, as well as High Pixie is wearing a plate of armor to protect herself in battle. The name Legion comes from the Roman Empire army. This word is used to describe a unit of troops around the size of 3,000 to 6,000 men. Although in Abrahamic mythology, a legion is a group of demons. Typically, when controlled by these demons, the victim gains superhuman strength, but in turn, the victim also goes mad with power. It's not known how many demons are in a legion, but it is known that a single legion operates as a hive mind. In SMT, legion looks like this purplish red meatball thingy with faces that are screaming in agony. I mean, it's not really stated what Legion actually looks like, but if I had to guess what one looks like, I would definitely think of an Olive Garden pasta. The Lesser Key of Solomon is made up of 5 different books. The first book, the one we'll be talking about today, is known as the Ars Goetia. Inside of the Ars Goetia lists 72 different types of demons, but today we'll be discussing the 57th demon, Ose. Ose, or Oso, is known as a great president of hell, said to be in control of 3 legions of demons, or in some depictions, 30 legions. I guess he must love Italian food. Ose also has the ability to put victims into a state of insanity in which the victim loses all sense of identity, but this only lasts for an hour at most. In Megami Tensei, Ose is depicted as a leopard with abs. Other than that, he wields 2 swords. As for the reason why, I really wasn't able to find out, but I mean, he does love liberal sciences, so maybe that's a connection. Bugs, commonly known as bugbear, is guess what? A bear. Just kidding, it's a type of hobgoblin slash boogeyman in English folklore. Its whole purpose of being was to keep medieval children out of the woods so they wouldn't get eaten by actual bears. Other than that, there's really not that much on this guy. I should mention that the word bug in its name isn't the same as our word for bug. In Celtic, bug means malicious or evil spirit. His design is pretty cool. It plays into the trope of innocent thing turned evil and creepy by having the main body of a teddy bear be stuffed with skulls and bones. Now, Black Frost is going to be a tough one to describe, mainly because I would need to discuss Jack Frost first. But anyway, Black Frost is an evil version of Atlas's mascot, Jack Frost. Now, you might be thinking, why is Black Frost evil? And well, it's based on a pun that's only understandable if you speak Japanese. I mean, it kinda works in the English translation, with Jack rhyming with black, but in Japanese, the word Jaku, I really hope I'm saying that right, I apologize if I messed it up, written in kanji means evil, so that's why Jack Frost has an evil counterpart. His design is exactly the same as Jack Frost, but instead of him being white, he's black. But instead of a blue hood and boots, they're purple. Also, he looks more intimidating with his red facial features. I should probably have said this when I was talking about Arsene Lupin, but Raoul is just another name Arsene Lupin goes by. I know I probably shouldn't have wasted a segment on this, but yeah, that's kind of it. His design is sick as fuck though, like, look at the red jacket and the golden wings. It looks like if Arsene and Michael Jackson had a secret love child together. In Persona, once you finish a social link, you unlock the ultimate persona for that Arcana. Once you finish the full Arcana in Persona 5 Royal, you unlock Vishnu, god of preservation. Within the Hindu religion, Vishnu is one of 3 principal deities, along with Shiva, the destroyer, and Brahma, the creator. According to Vaishnavism, Vishnu is known as the supreme being, the one that creates, transforms, and protects the universe. It is said that if the world were to be threatened by destructive or evil forces, Vishnu would descend in the form of an avatar to restore cosmic order. In SMT, Vishnu is depicted as a yellow-skinned individual with 4 arms. Typically, Vishnu is depicted as blue, but in SMT, he's shown as being yellow or pink. My best guess is because another Hindu deity, Shiva, is also blue, and in the game, he's depicted as blue. So it was probably just a change so people don't get the two confused. I also appreciate the fact that they gave Vishnu a lotus flower, as it was the type of flower offered to him in worship. Finally, today we'll end with Joker's awakened persona, Satanel. As you know, Yaldabaoth is known as a false god that claims to be the god of law and order. Satanel once ruled under Yaldabaoth until he learned the knowledge of him being a false prophet. From here, Satanel rebelled and became the sole opposite of Yaldabaoth. Satanel now represented chaos and free will. In other traditions, after liberating himself, Satanel is said to create the material universe as a second heaven, thus becoming the god within the Old Testament. In the Book of Enoch, an ancient Hebrew text, Satanel was an archangel that led the fallen angels to rebel against God by refusing to bow down to the human Enoch. Obviously, Satanel's mythology was a perfect match for the final form of Joker. His persona depiction is a large demonic angel, mostly because in some mythologies, Satanel was also said to be a fallen angel. But I believe the most intriguing part of this persona is the fact that he wields a gun. As for Mythos, I couldn't really find out why he was depicted with such a weapon, so I guess it was to be more in line with Joker because he also wields a gun. Also, it's just cool as fuck, I mean just look at it. But that, ladies and gentlemen, has been all the full Arcana personas explained. Again, I urge you to look into these guys yourself if you're really interested in learning more about them. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like this, or if you want to see challenge run videos in SMT and Persona, feel free to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.